Hey everyone, uh, just waiting for everyone to join. Be with you in a few minutes. We're going to start in a couple minutes. Everyone's joining. We'll be right with you. Hope everyone's excited about this presentation. We will be with you shortly. This event will be recorded, so you can view it at another time. Still have a few minutes. Be right with you. All right, people are joining. Just a couple minutes. How's everybody doing this Sunday? We're waiting for some people to join. Just getting everything set up. Just waiting for people to join. And then we'll get started. Okay, just a couple minutes. People are joining. Okay, just waiting for a couple more people. Okay, a couple minutes. Just be right there. Just give everybody another minute or two. All right, I want to do a test. Can everyone hear me okay? See me okay? Please put in the chat that you can hear me, see me, and see my slides. Just doing a test. And everyone hear me and see me? Okay, hi everyone from Chicago. John, thanks for coming. All right, we're just waiting for others to join. Awesome, awesome. Okay. I don't know, Sunday morning, people still waking up? Okay, we can hear. All right, we're just gonna give it one more minute. Okay, so in the essence of time, people will be joining us, so I thought maybe we get started. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening in Europe. Very excited to bring you this presentation today with what's going on in the world and the job market and the economy. It's hard to understand it. It's hard to navigate. So we're going to spend some time today discussing the state of the economy, the state of the job market, where opportunities are, where challenges are. So let me start with sharing my screen. Okay, there we go. So the presentation today, I'm going to give a small introduction about myself and my background. You know, there's a lot of information out there about jobs, job search, resumes, LinkedIn, interviews. Unfortunately, a lot of it is not accurate. A lot of misinformation out there. We're going to talk about the state of the economy and the job market, what it really means to put a comprehensive job search together, ways we might be able to help you in your search. We're going to open it up for live Q&A. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. I'm watching the chat. So this way we can talk about any things that are happening in your search, problems, questions, etc. We're also going to talk about some live events going forward. Okay. So it's interesting because I've been involved in job search for 40 years. Um, as an applicant, hiring manager, and a recruiter. I started my search in 1984. I lived in New York. After graduating, I wanted to walk on Wall Street, and basically everybody told me that couldn't be done. 3 months later and 100 interviews later, I got a job at Goldman Sachs, making $12,000 a year as a travel and entertainment accountant. I traveled 2 trains and a subway to get to work every day. And, I was off and running in my career. There's no internet. There are no computers. There are no job boards. There's no LinkedIn. We sent resumes by mail with a stamp. And then we waited by the phone because there were no answering machines. So today, 40 years later, things have dramatically changed how we look for jobs. I spent 18 years in the corporate Fortune 500. I spent 25 years as an entrepreneur. My last company before starting this one was a global staffing and recruiting firm. We worked for the Fortune 1000, recruiting for positions all over the world. My current company, jobsearchcoaching.net, has been around just a little over 8 years. So when we're talking about job search and the pieces of putting a comprehensive search together, I've reviewed over 500,000 resumes. We've secured over 5,000 interviews. We generated 53 million in comp. I have personally written 1,000 resumes and LinkedIn profiles. Reviewing 100,000 job descriptions. I've written a lot of job descriptions as well. And we have executed over 100,000 applications for our clients. We've supported clients in 50 different industries in 25 different countries. And on average, it's been about $100,000 to $500,000 in salary that our clients work with. So the state of the economy and the job market actually changes daily, okay? The good news is, let's talk about the good news. The good news is new jobs are being posted every single day. I've been tracking new job postings for the last year, and on LinkedIn, there are about 220, 230,000 new jobs posted every single 24 hours. That has not really changed in the last year, which is good. However, what used to take 2 or 3 weeks from application to hire now takes 4 or 5 weeks. What used to take 2 or 3 interviews can now be taking 4, 5, 6 interviews that could last over a few months. So the time to hire has increased. There is tremendous competition for these roles. Companies and recruiters used to look for 75, 80% of the required skills. Today, they're looking for 90% of the required skills. There are published jobs. There are unpublished jobs. The myth is, a lot of people say, well, most of the jobs are not published. Most of the jobs are not online. You have to use your network to find openings. This is true, but it's one piece. All jobs up to about 200,000 and 225,000, I would say 90% of those jobs are published in the public domain, whether on specific job boards, whether on company websites. When you get above that level, the 250, 300, 400, these are not published. These are managed by top tier recruiting firms, the Korn Ferries, the Heidrick & Struggles, the Michael Pages, the Robert Halfs. Those are the ones who have those higher paying jobs. But today they are bombarded with applicants and not as many positions. It is almost impossible to get them on the phone. It is almost impossible to get them to reply to you. LinkedIn keeps changing their algorithms. What's been interesting is I've spoken to someone who actually was at LinkedIn's headquarters in New York, listening to the upcoming algorithm changes. I mean, I love LinkedIn. It's the best tool there is. I've been studying it for 20 plus years. The front end, the back end, the paid versions, the recruiter versions. Everyone has a LinkedIn profile. That's great. But not everyone is visible on LinkedIn. There are many people who are, when companies are searching for you, they can't find you because you haven't optimized your profile correctly. So what we've been seeing is you see a job posted, you look at, how old this job is. We have to look for jobs that are 2 and 3 days old, not 2 and 3 weeks old. Also, many jobs get hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of applicants. In some cases, it gets over 1,000 applicants. The problem is, sometimes by the time you get to it, it's too late. So what companies are starting to do, because they don't want to go through 1,000 resumes, they are not posting these openings. They are doing strategic searches across the different job board platforms. So instead of posting, they're trying to find you on LinkedIn. And if your profile is not visible, you're not going to be contacted. Everyone says, well, why aren't recruiters contacting me? Because they can't find you. The other thing about the algorithm changes is, so not only, yes, you have to have a profile, not only, second, you have to have it optimized, but the new algorithms are showing results from people who are active on LinkedIn. I think the latest statistics said less than 5% of LinkedIn users are actually active. That means posting, commenting. If you are not active on LinkedIn, you don't show up in the algorithm. So people who are posting get noticed. It brings your profile to the top. Also, if you have a list of companies that you're interested in working for, like your top 25 list, go in and follow that company. And then go to the About page and click the button that says, I want to work at that company. So if an existing internal recruiter is searching for you, the fact that you are following and you check the box saying you are interested in working there, you come up higher in the search results. So now, today, we have AI and artificial intelligence. AI is used differently between job seekers and companies. So you have to understand how to use it and how the hiring managers and HR people and talent acquisition are using AI. They can be more precise in scanning the lists of applicants. AI can help you find better matches to the jobs you're seeking. Companies can't scan 1,000 resumes, so they're using AI to do it. But as a job seeker, not only can you use AI to help you enhance your resume, it cannot, how do I say this? It cannot replace a human, it can make it better. I use AI every day. I use ChatGPT. It has not replaced me. It has made me better, more efficient. So job seekers can use AI when they're about to interview. You run the job description through AI and you say, hey, put together a list of possible interview questions based on the job description. And it gives you all these different types of questions that might be asked of you. But then you could say, okay, well, here's my resume. As it relates to the job description, generate some potential interview questions. So you are prepared going into these interviews. Now, AI there's a lot of investment in AI. They haven't gotten tremendous amount of return yet. They're making that long-term investment. Building data centers. The fact is, it is automating processes, removing steps, and saving huge amounts of money. I don't need an entire marketing department anymore. I can use these tools to help create content, help push out that content, etc. One of the things that is happening right now in the world, some people pay more attention to it than others. Some people think it doesn't affect them, is what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening with oil prices, what's happening with tariffs. So let's just go back before a month from now. There was the issue of tariffs, and it was the arbitrary setting of tariffs on certain goods coming from certain countries. The problem was there was no set amount. It was X one day, Y another day, Z another day. The problem with the tariffs is it affects the cost of goods. So if the cost of goods are higher, less goods are being purchased. Less goods are being purchased, revenue is down, earnings are down, and companies are not going to have the financial results that they anticipate. So it's also the fact that it's uncertain. Uncertainty causes inaction. So right now with the war, the uncertainty, if oil goes to unimaginable prices, everything is going to change. Now, as of 24 hours ago, the US broke off negotiations with Iran because they couldn't come to any agreement on anything. If the United States gets into the war and puts boots on the ground in Iran, everything is going to change. It's going to take a year to get out. There are going to be problems with supply chains, goods in the stores. This could be COVID-esque. It could be similar to what happened during the 2008-9 financial crisis. So this is very concerning to me. Right now, the job market is stagnant, meaning, yes, there was tremendous layoffs at the big enterprise companies, the Oracles, the Microsofts, the Googles, the Metas, the Salesforce, the SAPs, etc. But in the last months or so, the layoffs have been diminishing. They have been waiting to see what happens in the war. I'm really afraid about what's going to happen next week. The last thing about the economy is we had lots of foreign workers. The whole visa, immigration, sponsorship component is broken. If you are trying to get sponsorship, it is next to impossible. However, there are pockets of opportunity. Many sales, business development roles. Many. Anything that helps with revenue producing, adds revenue to the company, or cuts costs to the company, they're going to be hiring. Anything that is overhead, doesn't produce revenue or increase earnings, and those positions are not needed, and they're not going to hire. There's tremendous opportunity in healthcare, in medical and surgical devices, in pharma, from sales, marketing, product development, market access, product management. There are a lot of opportunities in healthcare. The other thing we're seeing right now is there are a lot of the old school titles, which were operations, vice president of operations, director of operations, chief operating officer. There are so many heads of operations out of work because they were so expensive, the companies didn't need them anymore and they got laid off. So right now, I wouldn't say there's a lot of opportunity in the area of operations. There's a lot of opportunity in the area of transformation, business transformation, change management, process improvement, operational excellence. And now almost every transformation role that I see incorporates an AI function. So whatever AI tool you use, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, you need to update your resume to have those skills. You need to update your LinkedIn profile so it has those skills. Also, tremendous opportunities in infrastructure, cloud, infrastructure, IT, tremendous numbers of opportunities. Again, positions that increase the top line or increase the bottom line, there's tremendous opportunity. So maybe there's not jobs at Microsoft or Oracle, but there are tremendous opportunities at the smaller, early stage, well-funded companies. So yes, there are opportunities, but there's also a tremendous amount of challenging areas. Anything affected by tariffs, meaning consumer products, people are going to be buying less products. If you are in those areas, there may not be opportunities. Anything that AI can automate or take steps out of the process and become more efficient, marketing jobs, graphic design jobs, content creation jobs, a lot of those are gone away. Anything affected by the geopolitical situation, nonprofits and NGOs, there used to be so many opportunities in NGOs. Funding dried up because of certain policies. Nonprofits rely on some federal, state, local funding, and they also rely on donations. Not only has the funding dried up, but a lot of times funding that has been allocated has been pulled. So nonprofits right now, there's not that many opportunities. Training, learning, and development. If you go into some of these LinkedIn groups, there are so many people in these areas out of work. Curriculum development, educational technology, it can be automated. Communications, PR, corporate communications, crisis communications, a lot of these jobs can be automated and use AI to eliminate the need for all of these people. This market right now, I see is one of the worst markets for college graduates in the last 10 years. It is so challenging. It could take forever for college graduates to find work. Oil and gas used to be tremendous opportunity. This could change if the price of oil goes significantly higher, $150, $200 a barrel. There's not a lot of drilling going on. An area that was flourishing when companies were hiring is talent acquisition. So remember, let's separate recruiters, external recruiters, internal recruiters, talent acquisition, internal HR. A lot of recruiters right now are struggling because companies don't need to pay 25% to use these recruiters. Internal talent acquisition, there are so many people out of work in talent acquisition because companies are not hiring and they're using technology to automate steps, processes, screening. Some of you may have even seen AI interviews. This is a reality. We may not like it, but we have to figure out how to use it because it is there. Again, anywhere that processes can be automated. So if you're thinking, if you're younger in your career and you're thinking about getting into a specific field, you know, people may remember, and some people on this call may remember, the Moore's Law adage. The state and rate of technology doubles every 18 months. Well, with AI, that has dramatically increased that rate of change. You have to think about, if you're pursuing a job in a certain area, is that job going to exist 5 years from now? So we all have our, what do we call, our dream job. In this world, in this economy, with this uncertainty and the possibility of a global economic meltdown and recession, you may have to put your dream job on hold. Right now, there is the highest level of long-term unemployed, meaning out of work for 6 months or more, than in the last 10 years. So if you were making $300,000 a year or $200,000 a year, you may not be able to get that. You may have to pivot, adjust, reset. It's not like you're going to have to take a little bit less. There's going to be a total reset of salaries, responsibilities, numbers of people competing for fewer jobs. You may need to get a job to help you ride out this storm. It goes in cycles. We don't know how long the cycle is going to last. And we also don't know how deep or low this cycle is going to go, how long it's going to hang out on the bottom, and when it's going to come back. So you have to start thinking that way. You know, during the 2008-2009 recession, nobody knew it was going to get that bad. And people were waiting and waiting, and they went into debt, and they kept on, they kept staff on. People are going to be quicker to make those decisions. So what's going to happen? There's going to be a pause for hiring. There could be dramatic layoffs, which means a tremendous number of people out of work. So I just want to talk real quick, just a few minutes, on what it is that we do. I did run a global staffing and recruiting firm. I didn't like the model. I changed it 8 years ago, and I formed a job search management company. So we are not recruiters. We manage job seekers' job search from beginning to end. We help put comprehensive searches together. And people don't understand what a comprehensive search is. It's not just a resume and having a profile and seeing positions and physically applying. Your resume is the single most important piece of your job search. If you get it right, it flows through to the entire process. If you don't get it right, you're done before you even start. So it's your resume, it's your cover letter, it's your job board registrations, it's setting up job alerts, it's knowing where to knowing where to find the jobs, but also knowing how to have the jobs find you. And that is within LinkedIn. It's also preparing for interviews. Interviewing with an external recruiter, there's a certain strategy. Interviewing with an internal recruiter, HR, is a different strategy. Interviewing with the hiring manager is another strategy. Interviewing with a CEO of a smaller company is another strategy. Recruiters, any positions that you see that are represented by recruiters, you definitely want to apply to. But here's the key. When you're thinking about applying to jobs, there are 5 criteria that must be present for you to even consider applying to a job. They are titles, variations of titles, industry. You cannot be a jack of all trades. You must focus on your specific industries. Title, industry, years of experience, salary, and geography. On-site, hybrid, remote. If a job does not fit that criteria, don't apply. Because yes, you may get the first interview. Yes, you may get the second interview. But ultimately, you're not going to get the job. So you need to think 3-4 steps ahead, that when you're looking at a job description, you're looking at those 5 things. If it fits that criteria, apply. Networking is extremely important, but in this economy, it has to be used correctly. Cold outreach is not worthwhile. So here's how you benefit from networking. If you apply to a specific position at a company, you can see who you are connected to at that company. So you apply, do the physical application, then reach out to that person at the company and say, hey, you and I are connected on LinkedIn. I just applied to a specific company, a specific position. Here is the job description. If you could possibly walk my application down to HR, it would be greatly appreciated. An application that comes in from somebody internally has so much more weight than something that comes in through their website or through the job boards. Okay, I just want to get back to a little bit about us and our services. So we do end-to-end job search management from beginning to end, putting all the pieces together, do the daily research, the daily applications, coach and prep you for interviews, etc. We work on a success fee model, meaning if we find you something, we earn a fee. If we do not find you something, we do not earn a fee. We are implementing a new tool in the next week. It is an AI tool that helps find better matches across the web. And I don't mean the job boards. I mean into the actual ATSs, the success factors, the work days. We see positions that are not posted on the job boards. So we can set match criteria based on titles, based upon experience, based upon salary, based upon geography. It is much more efficient than a human screening these specific job descriptions. So we can see a better wide range of matching positions, set the matching percentages, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90%. And then this tool has automated the process of applying, not on LinkedIn, but on the company website, depending upon the different criteria. And it even will fill out, create profiles. It will select, disability, race, veteran, do confirmations, track status, progress, interviews. This is a game-changing tool, and we are implementing it this week. So we are doing full job search management. But what we are also finding is people, they want to manage their search on their own, which is great, but they still need the foundation and they still need the pieces together. So what we have developed in the last few months is, hey, we'll help you put the pieces together. We'll do the resume, the cover letter, the job boards, the LinkedIn profile, etc., and then set you up so you have the tools to manage it on your own. If you're interested in any of these services, you can go to our website. Under contact, there's work with us, and then there's Job Search Foundation. Okay, I am looking in the chat and there are lots of questions. So let's see if we can open it up. Let's see. Okay, I want to talk about remote work. So I track remote jobs as well. Now, obviously during COVID, a lot of these positions were 100% fully remote, which is great. Then there was the discussion and then implementation of companies demanding everybody go back to the office. Right now, according to my data, less than 10% of the jobs are fully remote. So most of them are hybrid. So hybrid will work if you are physically located in that city, 2 days a week in the office, 3 days a week from home. Certain positions are more apt to be fully remote than others that don't require you to be physically on site. I just read last week that the EU, in certain countries of the EU, they can't find people. So they're creating these portals that allow people from all over Europe to work remotely for a company in Germany. You could be in the UK for a company in Turkey. You could be in Spain or France. So there's more apt, yes, to go global. Very difficult because of tax and legal and payroll issues for an American to work for another company. It can be done. But honestly, you want to focus on your geography. If you are in, let's just say, New York, and your resume says New York, and the position is in Chicago, and even though the position is remote, they're going to look for somebody who's in the Chicago area. So something to think about. Let's see. The top candidates today are doing a little bit of everything. As I mentioned, they're putting comprehensive searches together. They're putting all the pieces together because you just don't know where the opportunity is going to come from. You could see a position and you apply. You could have a recruiter reach out to you. You could go to a company website and physically apply. You can contact recruiters and get opportunity from them. So you never know where the opportunity is going to come from. So LinkedIn, really, you must know how to optimize your profile because otherwise you are invisible. So here's a little tip. On LinkedIn, and I learned this several months ago, your college education. Many older clients don't like to put the dates of graduation because they think they'll be a victim of age bias. Possibly. But if you don't put the date of graduation in your LinkedIn profile, when someone is searching for a person with a college degree, it appears that you don't have a college degree and you don't come up in the search. So there's little tiny nuances that are important. Let's see. So AI tools take steps out of the process. Anything that you can show you've automated processes. You've automated systems. You've taken steps out of the process. So remember something. Your resume, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. You know, in my day, resumes were no more than 2 pages. Today, that doesn't work. And I tell you why. Because someone who's in their 50s cannot effectively capture their experience in 2 pages. It is better to have more and have it not be read than have less and have them wonder, is that all there is? So the sweet spot is 3 or 4 pages. I've written resumes that are 10 pages. People in medical research and publications, etc. But remember, the recruiter slash hiring manager, recruiter, internal talent acquisition, they're not going to read the whole thing. So the resume has to serve multiple audiences. The hiring manager is going to take the time to read the entire resume. But the HR person, they're skimming, they're scanning. And honestly, most, and this is not, to diss any of these people, but they are not qualified. The talent acquisition hiring processes are broken. They are actually broken. They have people reviewing resumes that have no business reviewing resumes. I never like to use the word keyword stuffing like you used to do on websites to, rank higher in the search results. You need to do it organically. So in your resume, yes, it's the companies you work for. It's your roles and responsibility. It's accomplishments and achievements. It's quantifiable, measurable metrics. It's your education, certification, training. It's all that. However, because of the competition, you have to go deeper. What are the projects you worked on? The teams, the budgets, the resources, the scope of these projects. Then, how do you summarize your 3 or 4 pages into a 2 or 3 paragraph professional summary? If I'm reading that summary and it doesn't absolutely blow me away, I'm never getting to page 3. So your summary, I like to use the word, the art of shameless self-promotion. If you don't promote yourself, nobody's going to promote yourself. Individually, all these things that you have done only have so much impact. When you bring them up to the top and you put them together collectively, it has a wow factor. If you work for name brand companies, say you work for name brand companies, okay? Don't be shy. All right, I'm looking at the questions. Okay, getting back to the issue of positions being published or unpublished. And I've tested this over years. 90% of all jobs that are less than 200,000 are published in the public domain. Again, the job boards, LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, the Ladders, ExecuNet, etc. They are published on company websites. Register your profile on these various company websites because then you are in their ATS system, which, by the way, is part of this new tool we are adopting, because we are not going to be applying through LinkedIn. We are going to be applying through the ATSs of the company, which means you are now registered in their databases for future positions that come up. So knowing how to search for these jobs, how to vary the titles, whether to use, like if you search on vice president of sales, you may not get head of sales. You may not get business development roles. So the key is to go to the root: sales, business development, product development, and then select the industry filter. LinkedIn and the ladders are the only ones that have industry filters. You definitely want to use them, okay? But go to the root, because you get more responses when you are searching. Okay. Let's see. I want to talk about fraud and ghost jobs. So there was an article published in Forbes this week that 1 in 7 jobs is not real. I see them every day. Our clients come to us and say, hey, is this job real? Because you haven't looked at hundreds of thousands of job descriptions, you may not be sure. They come from Gmail addresses. They don't have company emails. You can't verify the person that they're physically working at that company. That position is not posted on their website. They're trying to capture your personal information. So you need to be careful. I've had clients get fictitious job offers. I mean, an actual job offer that was fictitious, because they're like, hey, you can start next week. We're going to give you all this equipment, phone and laptop and all of this, and you need to purchase the equipment. Well, that's a red flag. Why aren't you purchasing it? But then we find out they wanted the new employee to purchase the equipment from one of their vendors. Ding, 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 red flag, right? So people are pasting recruiter signatures in their email, so you need to be aware of that. Also, ghosting. This is an awful thing that is happening. In my day, people were professional. They let you know if you didn't get the job. Usually when you're applying to a job, you get an automated confirmation. You may not have a physical human confirm. You're going to get an automated rejection. However, I have seen people go on interviews and then get ghosted. I've had clients where they were actually physically waiting for a job offer to come in the email, and they never heard from the company again. It is the most unprofessional thing. Again, it gets back to what I was saying before. The people in these positions have never been trained on the professionalism, and there is no excuse because you have the technology. The worst thing is not hearing. It is degrading. I've had people go on 8 interviews, get flown to their headquarters, waiting for an offer, and then come in second. So I don't want to say, you need thick skin, but this is going to happen. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised when this happens to you. It's all about how you react to it. Expect it. And one of the things I found out is during the interviews, ask, what's the process? How many interviews are there going to be? When are you going to make a decision? Because if they don't make a decision by X date, you need to follow up. They drop the ball. They delete your email by mistake. Don't think you're intruding. These recruiters, remember, they are short-handed, okay? So they drop the ball. You need to follow up. If they don't reply according to the date they said they were going to apply to, as long as your message is professional and polite and written in a form that requires the elicit of a response, you'll be fine. Don't say, well, they said they were going to get back to me. In this economy, you need to be aggressive and follow up. All right, hold on a minute. I think we have time for one or two more questions. Every day is a new day in the job search world. There could be, one day tons and tons of positions. I mean, on average, we apply to 20 to 25 jobs per day for our clients because we know where to find them and we know where to find new jobs. But in some cases, because of the economy and the geopolitical situation and your specific industry and where you are physically located, there may not be as many jobs. So you have to figure out a way to find those openings, and that's kind of what we do. So dealing with inexperience, dealing with incompetence, it is there. It's there every day. It's frustrating. It is totally frustrating, but you have to keep going. You have to be at this every day. And many of our clients are working every day and they don't have the time to do this, nor have they looked for a job in the last 10 years. The learning curve is so great that there's no way they could figure it out. Without putting the comprehensive piece together, it will take you so much longer to find a job. 40 years I've been doing this, and I've been a student of technology, and which is unusual for people of my age. And now I'm adopting the AI because I understand the power of it. Okay. The improving of processes and being more precise in how to do that. So you can do everything right. You applied, you interviewed, and then all of a sudden you get a message saying, hey, we went with somebody else. They were a better cultural fit. So that's the polite way. But the reality is there's the reason they tell you you were rejected, but there's also the real reason, which you will never know. You have to say, okay, next. The goal is to have many things working at the same time. First interviews, second interviews, third interviews. Some will move through the process. Some will drop off and new ones come on. What is the goal? Even if the position is not a fit, still go on the interview because they may have other roles that you are unaware of. Get the offer, try to negotiate. Everything is negotiable within reason. If it's not a fit, don't take it, but take it to the end so you can make the decision. So networking, as I mentioned before, old school, people of our age, my age, networking was the number one way. Today, honestly, these people are worried about keeping their jobs. They're not going to go out of their way. You see postings on LinkedIn. Hey, I need help. I've been out of work. Does anybody know of anything? That's a waste of time. Use the network that you have that work at the companies that you want to work at. And if you have applied to a job at a company where you're connected, reach out to that person. That is the best way to leverage your network. Okay. We are going to try to have weekly events. Today, we decided to have an event on a Sunday. More people were available. There's going to be a recording of this event. If you want the recording, it'll be available probably by the end of the day. Each time we have an event, we're going to focus on one component of search, whether it be resumes, whether it be interviewing, whether it be AI, whether it's optimizing your LinkedIn profile, etc. I've seen the job market go in cycles over these years. We are at a profound time of change. And the problem is we don't know where we're going to go. And today, more than ever in my lifetime, we have things that are affecting us that we have no control over. So trying to navigate it yourself can be very difficult. That's why there are very few firms that do what we do. We do the full job search management from beginning to end, or if you want your foundation to be put in place and you run it yourselves, we can do that as well. I want to thank everybody for their time today. I am always free. Reach out to me if you need any help, if you are interested in our services, and I hope to see you. I hope to see you next time on our live event. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you joining.